You're listening to the right episode. If you wanted to hear a dueling of great minds, I'm your host, Steve Kiles. We're powered by the Mortgage Marketing Animals, and I have probably my dearest friend in the whole world, and great mind. Okay, my dearest friend in the whole world, one of the greatest minds in this business, the Carl White. What's up, bro?
How you doing, man? I'm sitting here looking out my window, watching the ducks playing in the water, and I'm well prepared.
You're well prepared
for dueling banjos.
Well, if I'd have started this 2 minutes ago when you were scrambling, I would beg to differ. This is going to be fun. So Carl and I just got back from our Freedom Club event. We have masterminds throughout the year for our top level coaching, and several hundred of the top loan officers and branch managers and owners.
386.
Yeah, it was a lot.
386. But see, great minds know the exact numbers. 386. So
and so we had a great event, and we did a session on podcasting and the power of influence. And Carl, I hear that you gave out your questions to all of our Freedom Club members.
I did. So what we're going to do today is we're going to do a thing we're going to call dueling banjos or something. And in dueling banjos, it's an old song where one guy plays like something and goes, "All right, man, see if you can top that." And then the other guy plays something. And "All right, man, that was pretty good. See if you can top this." And so we're gonna rapid fire back some questions back and forth, and we'll let the audience decide the winner of this contest. So dueling banjos, game on, brother.
Hey, I love it. Okay. Hey, well, listen, I get the first question. You're going to answer first. We're going to probably go.
So you're going to ask me a question. I'm going to answer you. And then I'm going to answer you a question. You answer me. All right, cool.
Hey, listen, if you could take a class to learn anything, what would it be?
How to answer this question best. That's what I would no, if I could take a class on anything, well, I can take a class on anything, as can anybody else. And I've taken a lot of classes. I would say, so I'm going to kind of twist your question a little bit. If I could start all over again, what's the first class that I would take to benefit me in my work? I would say learning how to make presentations. I think I see a lot of people, I think they make a mistake by getting in the mortgage business and then spending all their time looking up the rules and regulations. And don't misunderstand me. That's some real important stuff, right? It is, like compliance and things like that. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about like loan guidelines. That's an endless book. And I think it's important that somebody in your organization know that. I just don't think, I think I see the loan officer, I look at things a little differently than some. I see the loan officer's primary job is a marketing person. That we're marketing specialists. We just happen to be marketing money.
Yes.
And somebody on my team needs to know the programs. And don't get me wrong, I want to learn the programs too. I think it is great information. It's just not as important as the marketing part, as long as I'm on a team that has somebody that's amazing at the program stuff. So in my case, and Steve, I know yours too, we have people back in the office that knows of course, the compliance, right? I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about like the loan programs. They know those like the back of their hand. And as soon as there's a new guideline, they know what that new guideline is.
Yes.
I don't know that I need to be that person, that my time is better spent marketing the services that we provide. And I think there's no better skill to learn than learning how to make presentations. And whether that's presentations as a one-on-one where I'm talking to the borrower, or maybe it's one-on-many, like we're doing the podcast here, right? This is a presentation of sorts. It happens to be with people that have come to become our friends, I guess, or people that we consider our friends. And maybe it's presentations one-on-one to a real estate agent. Maybe it's presentation of 5-on-1 or 20-on-1 to real estate agents. But I would say learning how to make presentations would be at the very highest of my list. And I've done a lot of things, and I've taken a lot of classes, including classes on how to do presentations. And I would say that has served me the best. And I'll also tell you, that was probably the area that I had the most growth to learn, because by my very nature, and Steve, you know this, and a lot of our listeners know this, I'm actually very much of an introvert. Now, I love people, right? A lot of people think that introverts don't like people. Oh no, I love people. I get nervous. Like hell, I got nervous when you said, "Hey, let's record an episode." I get nervous every single time. But after taking that class and doing presentations, I've learned how to use that nervousness as actually energy. It's like a solar power to feed the engine. And I've learned that in doing presentations, I used to think, well, everybody's looking at me and they're looking at me and I'm nervous because they're looking at me. And then I found out they don't care about, not that they don't care about me, but that's not the reason they're listening is not because they care about Carl. The reason they're listening is because they care about themselves and their business. And they've heard from their friends or other loan officers that this is a great place to learn more about their business, to actually how to close more loans. So the spotlight's not on me, it's on them. They're shining it on themselves, that they're looking to listen to this and learn from it. And when I learned, okay, it's not about me, it's about them, that made it a whole lot easier for me. So learning presentations, I would say, would be in my business life, the number one. In my personal life,
man, I love that.
In my personal life, I would say the 5 love languages, and learning how to show my affection for my lovely bride and my kids and my dearest of friends like you, Steve. Not probably my dearest friend, but my dearest friend. So I would say learning the 5 love languages. So 5 love languages in personal life and presentations in business life.
I love it. Hey, and you know what's encouraging, Carl? You don't have to be great to start. You didn't walk out great at presentations. You didn't step into life saying, man, I'm naturally big personality and I've got this and I'm going to slay presentations. But you've literally gotten better year after year, month after month, just by doing it and being intentional about getting better and manage and measuring the results. I would say it's probably one of your greatest skills. It's huge. And both of those are super strong for you. I like it.
Thank you. All right, so my turn. Now I get to ask you a question. So I like this Dueling Banjos, man. This is kind of cool. Hey, Steve, and by the way, when we in doing these, I need you to take your humble hat off. Okay, so these are real questions, right? Yeah. So Steve, the president of the United States, whoever he or she may be, right? The president calls you up and says, Steve Kiles, I need you, and I need you here right now. What skill do you bring that he or she has called upon you to help in this dire time of need, whatever that need is? What skill do you bring? What are you known for that they've called you for?
I mean, that's a great question. It's interesting. I was actually working on that this morning. I would say it would be strategy and structure. And the way my mind works is I can typically see how to get to where we're going, where some people are really good at implementing the detail, the daily task of what it takes to get done, where my strength is going to be in the strategy. Okay, if we're going here, what's the strategy to get there, and what's the most effective structure? I would say that's probably my greatest strength. And I know, of course, that comes with scripting and some of the other things I'm known for. But I'll tell you, Carl, that's part of the success we're seeing in my branch. The ability to say, okay, here's where we're going, and then to work backwards and say, okay, what structure's needed in order to produce a consistent, repeatable, referable experience. And then based on the data, based on the information that keeps coming back, okay, how do we pivot and tweak, pivot and tweak, pivot and tweak? So you measure the results, and then if the results are what you want, you keep putting more fire on that, more fuel on that flame. And if they're not what you want, then can we tweak it in order to get the desired results? So if the president called, he'd say, Steve, I need your strategic thinking and the ability to build structure that produces the same results consistently. I love to say it, sweat, same way every time. And that's probably the greatest strength.
And so wrap that in to somebody that's listening to this as a loan officer or branch manager. Talk to me just for a minute about strategy and structure in my mortgage business.
Okay. So great point. If I'm looking at strategy as you're planning for next year and what your numbers look like, What is your why? Where's your goal? Where are you going? And I would look at volume and units. So if your goal is to close 25 million next year, or if your goal is to close 50 million or 100 million, or you're leading a branch to get to 500 million or $1 billion, what I would start with is, what's my desired result? Okay. It's typically going to be volume. Then you divide your average loan amount by that volume and you'll come up with units. And then what we're going to do is say, okay, what do I need to do to produce that on a daily, weekly basis? So in the marketing animals, Carl, once I know where I'm going, which typically represents units and volume, it doesn't mean that's the end goal. We're looking for freedom and financial freedom and time freedom and family freedom, freedom with relationships. But in our business, it's measured by volume and units. So then what I do is I just work backwards and I say, okay, if my goal is $50 million this year, divide it by the average loan amount, tells me the number of units that I'll have. And then what type of team will I need? What does my daily discipline look like today? So in the marketing animals, we call the sales activity our daily success plan. So if I'm building structure to hit that goal of 50 million or 100 million, then I start with my calendar and I look at Monday and I say, what am I doing from 8 to 9? For us, we do meetings from 9 to 11 every Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, 8 hours a week. We're making strategic outbound calls that will lead us to our volume unit goal. From 11 to 2, we're doing our social media, we're doing our lunches, we're doing our events, anything that we've got to get done, maybe setting up files if you had to. And then loan consults 2 to 4, which would be loan consultations, mortgage refreshes, lock-in calls, and mortgage ready consultations, and then 4 to 5 wrap up the day and go home. So what you're doing is you say, here's my goal, here's what it takes, and here's how I'm going to add structure into my day so that I can actually achieve the goal. Structure would also be things like, how am I doing my first call? Is it done the same way? How am I doing loan consultations? Is it done the same way? How am I doing my pre-approved and looking calls and then my lock-in calls? And so structure is how I'm doing it, but also am I executing my calendar each and every day? Is that what you're talking about?
And so when you say in your calendar, making sure it's by design. I was talking to somebody yesterday and they said, well, yeah, I'm doing my past database calls from time to time when I get around to it. And it was like, okay, well, that means you're not doing it because, if it's not by design, it's not going to happen. So, all right. I like that. Good answer.
Yeah,
what you got, man?
Your calendar. Hey, listen, your calendar will tell you, Carl, what's most important, and so if you'll show me your calendar for the last week, somebody who's listening will show you what's most important. And if the most important green activities are not scheduled in your calendar and you are just vigilant to staying with it, you probably won't hit your goals. So I think it's,
and I'll take it one step further. You show me your calendar, I'll predict your income.
100%. I absolutely love. Hey, and
with great accuracy.
Yeah, 100%. And one of the things I love to do too is each week, me and my team and our branch, I really coach our people to color code your time. And so if it's admin work or if it's things that are non-money making activity, code those red. Anything that is outbound marketing, loan consultations, outbound calls, face-to-face appointments, anytime I'm being proactive in my activity, mark it green, and you'll be able at a glance to say, hey, wow, I did enough, or you know what? The results are what they are because I didn't do enough. So you can see it very easily. Hey, my question. Okay, you ready? How do you plan on growing your business this next year?
By prospecting. Real simple question. It really kind of, it goes back to what you were just saying, is I prospect by design. So as we're doing this podcast here, in 45 minutes from now, I've got 2.5 hours. Wait, as soon as we finish this, I have a strategy meeting where we're strategically meeting and planning out our actions for the next 90 days. Then at the end of that, I got a 2-hour period of prospecting. And so, but it's in my calendar and it's by design. Now, truth be known, do I feel like prospecting this afternoon? I'm just being brutally honest with you here. I don't actually. Like some days I feel like it like a lot. And frankly, some days I just don't. But even on the days I don't, I just do it. I remember I read a great book one time by, actually, I listened to it by a master of writing, Stephen King, right? Some of his writings I like, some of them's not my style. I'm kind of a puppy dogs, unicorns, and rainbows kind of person. And, some of his books are really cool and some of them are a little out there. But I think we can all agree the guy's a maniac when it comes time to pumping out very successful books, right? Very, very, very successful books. And I was listening to him. He wrote a book on memoirs on writing, which talked about how he does it and how does he pump out all these books and where does he get all the ideas. It was fascinating. I love looking into a mind of a genius. And the guy, like his writings or not, guy's a genius, right? So he was talking, he was saying, people ask me sometimes, how do I write so much? How do I put out all this stuff? He said, simple. He says, I write when I feel like it. I just feel like it every Monday through Thursday from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. every day, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. I sit myself in front of my Royal typewriter. I think he still does it by typewriter, at least of the writing this book. He just had the habit of using a typewriter. And he says, so I do when I feel like it. And I feel like it every day from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Now, this guy doesn't need the money. I don't know what his net worth is, but it's got to be massive, right?
Yeah.
And a level of success as far as a writer, very few could aspire to, or to be a master of their craft. Very few people are a master of their craft at a level that he's a master of his, right?
Wow.
And yet he has a discipline Monday through Thursday, sit in front of that typewriter and produce content from 10 to 2, frankly, whether he feels like it or not. And so I learned from that. And I don't feel like doing it this afternoon, but I know that my actions or the calls or the content that I'm going to be producing today for a couple hours is not responsible for this week's activity or closings or money getting for me. It's responsible for the money getting about 90 days from now. And so while I don't feel like it today, I guarantee you 90 days from now, I'm going to feel like the results of it, right? I promise you that. Just like today, I reaped the income and the fruit of work that I did 90 days ago. Now, I can tell you, I have zero clue if 90 days ago, when I did that work that was required to get the results that I'm getting today, did I feel like it 90 days ago on this very day? I don't even remember. But I'm really grateful that I did the activity, whether I felt like it or not. Most days I feel like it, right? Some days I don't. But every day I feel like the results. And so I do it for me anyway. It's kind of like, this sounds kind of weird, but I always think I'm my favorite rich uncle. You know how you everybody wishes they had a rich uncle that would leave you a bunch of money, right? So the work I did 90 days ago was a gift to myself today. And I'm very grateful for me giving me that gift. That sounds kind of weird, but I am. I'm very, very grateful of me for having the discipline 90 days ago to do the work that was required, that I received the income that I received today. And it's a large income, right? The income I get on a daily basis, it's large, like it is. It's really large. And so I'm so grateful today for the 90 days ago me for doing what was necessary. So
hey, that's such great wisdom. I just the wisdom of, what I do it Monday through Thursday, 9 to 11, my 2 hours of outbound calls, because I feel like it every day, whether I feel like it or not, it's 9 to 11, and following that process and structure, the wisdom of no longer operating by feelings. Feelings are so fickle. The weather gets cold and it's like, oh man, I don't want to push today. The weather gets hot. Oh, I want to go play today. Not realizing that we don't live by the feelings. We've just got to do the right activity consistently and it'll produce the right results. That's such great wisdom.
And keeping in mind, I do take Fridays off and I do take Saturdays and Sundays off. And I've earned the right to do that by, by doing my Monday through Thursday activity. And I take a large amount of December off, just as an FYI. I take a large amount of December off because I've earned the right the other 11 months of the year to do that. So I'm a huge Christmas fan and I really, really enjoy it. And so I do. I kind of skate a little bit in December because I've earned the right to do that. So I like it. All right, man. We got time for me to ask you another question?
Yeah, one last question.
Okay. Steve, what's your greatest fear and how do you overcome it?
Oh man.
Yeah, peel that door open and let
Well,
us take a peek
well,
inside.
it's so, man, if I'm really genuinely, brutally honest, I think,
Which you are.
well, the fear that I struggle with the most, I know, but being this transparent is probably, am I a good enough leader to lead?
Mm,
And I know that that's deep. There's a lot to that, but that's
yeah.
something that, man, when you asked me that, if we were sitting on your porch and you asked me that question, I'd have to honestly answer, um, at this heart level, which is the days you just wake up and say, you know what? I don't know how to get there. Am I a good enough leader to lead us there? And how do I
Mm,
overcome it? I surround myself with people like you.
mm,
And I also overcome it by just every day saying, you know what? I don't know. I don't have to know how to get there. I have to be able to ask good questions and bring people along on the journey who have either been there
mm,
or have the skill set
mm,
to get us there. I think we're in, when you're building something as big as you and myself and our branches, some of what we're doing is uncharted, and you've got to be able to say, okay, I'm not going to be fearful of inadequacy or the inability to lead.
mm,
Here's what I know. I'm great with people. I know how to ask good questions. We know how to chart a course with vision, and I also know how to measure what's important, as well as bring other people in our lives. You and I are going to spend a couple of days in California here next week, with someone that's doing just that for us. They're sitting there saying, "Okay, have you thought about this? And here's where you could get better." They're helping us with our blind spots, and I think that heart level, it would be a fear of being able to lead people to somewhere significant. How do I get past it? By surrounding myself with even better people, asking good
mm,
questions and being relentless in the pursuit of growth, and knowing that, man, we can do this. We're made for this. Purpose doesn't mean you don't, you know everything. When you're living on point, you're living with purpose, you're living fulfilled and doing what you're called and created to do. Doesn't mean there's no fear. It just means you keep moving, and God will give you the
mm.
wisdom and the strength and the understanding to take those next steps. And I love what you say. Fear, what is it? Tell me what you say about fear. It's about doing it anyway. It's feeling the fear, doing it anyway, and wearing black
Yeah,
pants.
that's it.
So,
Yeah, fear is peeing in your pants.
yep,
Courage is doing what you need to do with wet pants on.
that's it. That's it.
So always wear black pants because everybody always has a fear. Hey, let's just for real quick. So I appreciate your transparency. I like that. Uh, so let's wrap this around our listeners. I think the biggest thing, look, every loan officer knows getting realtor referrals is a very good thing. That
Yeah.
everybody knows, they might not know the number, but the number is 67% of all borrowers use the loan officer their realtor recommended. So
Mm,
67% of all loans that close use the loan officer that their realtor recommends. And we also know that you and I know from our personal production of our teams that we get 4 referrals, we go to a closing. So
mhm.
if I want 4 closings this month, I need 16 referrals. I want 10 closings this month, I want 40 referrals. Where do we get those referrals from? Real estate agents.
Yep.
We all know that. But Steve, I I have the imposter syndrome
Mm,
where I don't bring enough to the real estate agent. I don't bring the value. I can't come as an expert because I'll be pretending and I'm not really an expert and I'm just me and I'm not this great person like Steve Kyles is, or insert in thought leader here in the mortgage industry. I'm just little old me, and if I go knocking on these realtors' door, my imposter syndrome is thumping me in the chest, saying I'm not good enough, I'm not big enough, I don't bring anything to the picture. These people are they can work with anybody. Why in the world would they work with me? How do I push through that? Which, by the way, is a conversation. As you're listening to this today, that's a conversation that's not unique to you. Frankly, it's common to everybody. Those that push through that, Steve, including yourself, including myself, how do you push through that?
well, you know what? My first thought was my calendar pushes me through it.
Mm.
That's
I
the
got it.
importance of a
It's on your
calendar.
calendar, and that's what you're doing today.
Yeah,
Like
and there's
that.
two things that really changed when it comes to that. Understanding that prospecting is not about getting people to like me. I love what you say. I got to go find my 25%. 25% of the people will like me. You always joke whether you're doing arm farts or doing crazy noises over in the side of the corner. 25% of the population, they're going to connect with you. They like you. You don't have to do anything special, but just show up. And when you begin to realize that prospecting is about finding people that are like-minded, they are like-hearted, people with similar vision, values, and beliefs, people you want to do life with, then I think it changes your perspective. And understanding that you're going to have 75% of the population, they're not going to want to work with you, or you've got to work so hard to make it happen. It's just not worth it. And I think that is such a relief to where it's like, I don't have to impress anybody. I'm just looking for my 25%. And also the perspective of, I'm not trying to be somebody I'm not. Get in there, show value, love people, show up every day. And my calendar helps me whenever I don't feel like making the calls. And if you're a member of the Freedom Club or MMA Marketing Animals, Call Stars is a great way to get through the feeling and hearing little guy on the shoulder, because you got to show up and you just start making 2 hours of calls, and the accountability keeps you pushing through.
Good stuff, man.
That's my
Hey, just
thoughts.
real quick. So I'd call this an official draw, man. There's some pretty darn good answers you gave there. That was good stuff. I want a rematch.
I'm down. Yeah.
Yeah.
I
I
want a
rematch.
I love hearing your feedback and perspective. Hey, and I love that about Stephen King. I show up when I feel like it, Monday through Thursday.
And I feel like it by design, same way every time, Monday through Thursday
that.
from 10 to 2. So yeah.
Isn't that the power of like 4 hours of writing, 5 hours of writing?
That's the power of greatness. That's what that is.
Yeah, and so is our business. Just showing up is half the battle. Consistency over time is the next battle. Listen, your scripts will get better. Your process will get better, because the more you show up, the better you'll get. The better you get, the better your results. The better results, the better your confidence. The more confidence, it helps you continue to win. So I think it's all a part of itself. So
I would.
all right, Carl,
I think I'm better. All right, buddy.
Hey, well, hold on. If you're listening today and you say, hey, I want to know more about the marketing animals, I want to know more about having someone help.
Screw that. They want to know how to close another 6-7 loans per month. Can you guys map it out for us?
Yeah, go to freedomplanningcall.com, freedomplanningcall.com. You want to close 6 more loans a month? We'll map out the plan, give it to you, show you exactly what you need to do starting today to close 6 more loans a month. freedomplanningcall.com. Hey, check it out. Make sure to subscribe. Share this with 3 other loan officers feel like would benefit from this conversation. Give us a great review. We'd love that as well. And remember this, anything worth doing is worth doing badly. Just get started. See ya.